If you are a student and looking for a laptop in 2026, chances are you have already seen dozens of recommendations. Windows laptops, MacBooks, and many more. But what if I told you that a laptop released all the way back in 2020 is still one of the best student laptop you can buy today? We are talking about a MacBook you can pick up right now for somewhere between 350 to 400 bucks. That number almost feels wrong when you look at what you are actually getting. And after using it every single day for the last 3 years, I genuinely think it's one of the best value for money laptop available for students. So in this video, I want to answer one simple question. Is the M1 MacBook Air still worth buying for students in 2026? I have been using the M1 MacBook Air for the past 3 years. And unlike many reviews you will find online, I am not talking about as a developer, as a creative professional, or power user. I am looking at it from the perspective of a student. This is the laptop I used for classes, assignments, presentations, note-taking, and pretty much everything in between. In fact, this laptop became my primary productive machine throughout my university life. And surprisingly, even in 2026, it still feels modern. One of the biggest reasons I love this laptop as a student for its portability. The M1 MacBook Air is incredibly thin, lightweight, and minimal. Whether you are carrying it in a backpack or shoulder bag, it never feels bulky. And because it's entirely built from aluminum, it doesn't feel cheap like many budget laptops in this price range. Even after several years of uses, it still feels premium every time I pick it up. What's even more impressive is how well the design has aged. Now, let's talk about what actually matters. How does it perform for student work? This is where the M1 MacBook Air shines. As a student, my daily workflow usually includes Google Docs for assignments, online classes, presentation tools, and of course, YouTube running somewhere in the background. As a student, it's completely normal to have multiple applications and dozens of tabs open at the same time. And for most of these tasks, the M1 MacBook Air still feels incredibly fast. Apps launch instantly, switching between tasks feels smooth, scrolling feels fluid, and overall the laptop remains responsive even after years of use. There is one thing worth mentioning though, my model has 8GB RAM. On a normal day with 10 to 20 tabs open, everything runs perfectly. But on heavier days, when I have multiple AI tools, dozens of tabs, PDFs, documents, and videos running simultaneously, you can definitely feel the limitations of 8GB memory. It's not unusable, it's just not effortless as a newer machine with more RAM. For most students though, I don't think this will be deal breaker. One thing that continues to impress me is Apple's M1 chip. This was Apple's first in-house silicon processor, and somehow 5 years later, it still feels fast. The reason is optimization. Apple controls both the hardware and the software. Everything is designed to work together. So even though the specifications might not look impressive on paper, the real-world experience remains excellent. For productivity workloads, which is exactly what most students do, this laptop still performs beautiful. And because the M1 chip is so power efficient, it also runs silently. The most surprising thing is there are no fans inside this machine, yet overheating is rarely an issue. Even today, that still feels impressive. Another reason I continue to enjoy using this machine is the macOS. Whether you love it or hate it, macOS is incredibly polished. The interface feels clean, animations are so smooth, and everything feels super consistent. And despite this laptop being over 5 years old, it still supports the latest software updates. That's honestly remarkable. Modern versions of macOS still make this machine feel fresh and current. Compared to Windows, macOS simply feels more refined for everyday productivity. And because most student workloads happen inside a browser anyway, the operating system becomes an even bigger advantage. Battery life is another area where this laptop continues to hold up surprisingly well. Now, after After 3 years of use, I definitely don't get the incredible battery life that people experienced when the laptop was brand new. Battery health naturally declines over time. My one is around 82%. However, for student productivity, the battery life is still very good. For note-taking, browsing, document editing, and online classes, it comfortably gets me through a large portion of the day. And that's honestly all most students need. Of course, no laptop is perfect. And my biggest complaint is still the port selection. You only get 2 USB-C Thunderbolt ports. That's it. No HDMI, no SD card slot, no USB-A, nothing. If you want to connect accessories, external displays, memory cards, or any virtual peripherals, you will must need a dongle. And honestly, when you look at just how thin this laptop is, it starts to make sense why Apple made this compromise. Let's quickly talk about the hardware experience. The display is still excellent. It's a 13.3-inch Retina display with sharp resolution, great color accuracy, and impressive image quality. Whether you are reading documents, watching lectures, editing presentations, or simply consuming content, everything looks fantastic. In fact, I still prefer watching videos on this display over my external monitor. The keyboard also remains one of my favorites. Typing assignments, reports, and notes for long periods feels comfortable and natural. And the speaker is still surprisingly good. Even by 2026 standards, they remain impressive for a laptop this size. This brings us to the biggest reason I continue recommending this laptop, the price. For roughly $350 to $400, you can find an M1 MacBook Air in good condition. And at that price, the value is honestly difficult to beat. You're getting a premium aluminum build, excellent battery life, a fantastic display, great speakers, a comfortable keyboard, and most important, reliable performance. All for the price of many entry-level Windows laptops that don't come close delivering the same overall performance. So should a student buy the M1 MacBook Air in 2026? Yes, if your primary use case is studying, assignments, note-taking, presentations, web browsing, and general productivity, this laptop is still excellent choice. Is it perfect? No. The 8GB RAM can occasionally show its limits. The port selection is frustrating, and eventually Apple will stop supporting it with major updates. But for the price, I still think it's one of the best student laptops you can buy today. And if you are wondering how capable this machine beyond student work, I have already made a full video showing how I edit videos on MacBook Air M1. So make sure to check that out after this one. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.